My wife cheated on me with our neighbor, stole $200, $0 from our joint account, forged my signature to sell the family home, and now she's trying to file for bankruptcy to dodge the lawsuits. I feel like I've been hit by a freight train. I never thought I'd be the guy to find out my wife was cheating on me, let alone with the neighbor, steal $500,000 from our joint account, forge my signature to sell the house, and then try to declare bankruptcy to dodge all the lawsuits. Honestly, it feels like I got hit by a freight train and then run over again just for good measure. But it all started with little signs, things I brushed off at first because I didn't want to believe my own wife could do something so cold. It was about 3 months ago when I first noticed that Sarah, my wife, was acting weird. She'd come home late more often, sometimes smelling like perfume I didn't recognize, her phone constantly buzzing with texts she'd quickly hide. She'd brush it off when I asked about her day, saying she was just talking to her sister or a friend. I trusted her, I really did. We'd been together for 10 years and I thought we had a solid marriage. But then came the small lies, forgotten errands, excuses about work that didn't add up. I started paying more attention, and that's when I noticed her phone bills ballooned with calls to a number I didn't recognize. One night, I decided to check her phone while she was in the shower. I know I shouldn't have, but I was curious, and honestly, I had a gut feeling something was wrong. I scrolled through her messages and found a string of texts between her and our neighbor Mike. They weren't just friendly, they were flirtatious, full of innuendos, pictures, and plans to meet up. That's when I saw the most brutal thing, a message from her saying, "Can't wait to see you tonight. I've missed you." My stomach dropped. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, but I kept reading. I also found out she'd been sneaking around with Mike for months. She'd lie about going to the gym or visiting her sister, but instead, she'd be with him. The worst part, she'd convinced herself she was sneaky enough to get away. With it, I could see it in her eyes when I confronted her that night. She was trying to deny, to lie her way out, but I knew better. She kept saying it was just sex, that it didn't mean anything, that she was just lonely or bored. Yeah, right. Meanwhile, she was still taking money out of our joint account, big chunks of it, 200, zero gone over the past few months, just vanished. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The woman I married, the person I trusted with my life, was cheating on me with our neighbor, stealing our money and lying through her teeth. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak all at once. I'd worked my ass off to build our life, and she was just throwing it away for some stupid affair and a quick buck. That's when I knew I had to do something. I couldn't just sit there and let her ruin everything we had. I needed to figure out what was really going on, and more importantly, I needed to plan my next move carefully. This wasn't just about cheating anymore. It was about saving what was left of my life, my dignity, and my future. After I found out about the affair and the money, everything changed. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My mind kept racing, trying to process how someone I loved and trusted could do something so cold. The more I looked into it, the more I realized this wasn't just a fling or a mistake. Sarah had been planning this for months. The texts with Mike, the financial transactions. She'd been siphoning off money little by little, probably thinking I wouldn't notice. But I did. I noticed because I knew our finances inside out, and that sudden disappearance of hundreds of thousands of dollars was impossible to ignore. I started digging into our bank accounts and credit cards. The withdrawals were all made with forged signatures. Somehow, she had managed to forge my name on the sale of our house, our family home, the place I grew up, the place I thought we'd spend the rest of our lives. I found the documents online, the signatures matching hers perfectly. She'd already sold it, and I was left with nothing but a pile of lies and betrayal. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly, cheat on me, steal from us, and then try to walk away like she hadn't done anything wrong? I was furious. I wanted to scream, to break something. But I knew I had to stay calm. I needed to think. That's when I started planning my next steps. I couldn't just confront her and hope for the best. No, I needed proof, a plan, and a way to protect myself legally and financially. Over the next few days, I gathered evidence, screenshots of her texts with Mike, bank statements showing the withdrawals, copies of the forged documents. I even hired a private investigator to confirm her meetings with Mike and to track her financial movements. It was a brutal process, but I had to be thorough. I also made copies of everything, stored them somewhere safe. Because I knew she was planning to spin her story to deny everything, and worse, she was trying to file for bankruptcy to dodge the lawsuits I was planning to bring against her. That woman, Sarah, she's a master manipulator. She kept lying, telling me it was all a mistake, that she didn't mean to hurt me, that she was just confused or under a lot of stress. She even accused me of being paranoid, of not trusting her. She said I was overreacting, that she loved me and would never do anything to hurt me. I wanted to believe her, I really did. But the evidence was staring me in the face, and I knew the truth. She'd been cheating, stealing, forging, and now she was trying to run away from it all. I remember the moment I decided I'd fight back. I sat her down one evening, told her I knew everything. She looked at me with that bitchy smirk, trying to deny it again, but I cut her off. I told her I wasn't going to let her destroy everything we built, that I'd take her to court, expose her, and make sure she paid for what she did. I told her I'd fight her for every dollar, for every lie, for every betrayal. She called me crazy, said I was overreacting, that I was ruining everything. But honestly, I felt relieved. Finally, I was taking control of the situation. I wasn't going to be her punching bag anymore. That night, I realized this was just the beginning. She was trying to keep her secrets hidden, but I was determined to uncover every single one. I knew she had more tricks up her sleeve, and I wasn't about to let her get away with it. From that moment on, I started preparing for a legal battle, one I knew would be long and messy, but I was ready. I had to be. Because if I didn't fight for what was mine, my home, my money, my dignity, she'd walk all over me as she always did. And I refused to let her win. The more I dug into her financial mess, the more I realized just how deep she'd gone. It was like peeling an onion, each layer revealed something worse. Turns out, she'd already transferred a chunk of the stolen money into secret accounts, probably trying to hide it from me. I found out she'd been funneling cash through offshore accounts, using fake companies she set up just to move the funds around. She thought she was clever, but I had the right contacts, and I got access to the bank records through a lawyer I hired. Seeing those transactions was like a punch to the stomach. The biggest shock came when I discovered she'd forged my signature to sell our house. I never signed a thing, but the paperwork bore my name and my signature, completely fake. She arranged the sale behind my back, probably with the help of that conniving neighbor, Mike. The house was our biggest asset, and she just handed it over to some shady buyers, probably to cover her tracks or get quick cash. I felt sick thinking about her sneaking around, lying, just to line her pockets and get away with it all. At that point, I felt like I was losing my mind. How could she do this? How could she lie so effortlessly? I was furious. I'd trusted her with everything, our future, our savings, our home, and she'd been plotting all along to take it all away. It was hard not to feel betrayed, not just by her actions, but by her entire personality. She'd always been bitchy, manipulative, quick to lie when it suited her, but I never thought she'd be capable of this level of deception. Now I was staring down the barrel of losing everything. Our home, our savings, our marriage. I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't let her get away with this. I contacted a lawyer who specialized in financial crimes and divorce. We started building a case, proof of the forgery, the illegal transfers, the theft. Meanwhile, she kept up her lies, trying to deny everything. She told me I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, that she loved me, and this was just a rough patch. She played the victim, crying, saying I was accusing her of things she'd never do, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I had enough evidence to shut her down. One day I caught her trying to file for bankruptcy. I guess she thought she could wipe her slate clean, dodge the lawsuits, and walk away with some of the money she hadn't yet spent. That was the last straw. I realized then that she was willing to destroy her own future just to escape the mess she made. I couldn't let her. I contacted the bankruptcy lawyer, and we filed an injunction to stop her from proceeding. That woman, she's quick. She's always been good at lying her way out of trouble. But I was ready this time. I had everything documented, all the evidence I needed. Honestly, I felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. Part of me wanted to give up, to just walk away and forget the whole thing, but I knew I couldn't. If I let her get away with this, she'd do it again. She'd ruin someone else's life, just like she tried to ruin mine. I also started thinking about how I'd rebuild after all this. I knew I'd need therapy, time, and a lot of patience. But I also realized I'd become a different person, more cautious, more guarded, but also more determined to fight for myself. Looking back, I see now that I was blind for too long. I ignored the signs, convinced myself everything was fine. But the truth was always lurking beneath the surface. I just didn't want to see it. Now, I'm in the middle of a legal battle that's draining me emotionally and financially, but I refuse to give up. I want her held accountable for everything she did, her lies, her thefts, her betrayal, and I want to reclaim what's left of my life. It's a long road ahead, but I know one thing for sure. I won't let her walk all over me anymore. The legal process has been a nightmare, honestly. Every day feels like a new battle, more paperwork, more lies, more surprises. Sarah, my wife, she's not just stubborn. She's got a way of twisting everything to make herself look innocent. Every time I think I've got her cornered, she comes up with some new lie or excuse. She's been telling everyone, including the courts, that I'm just overreacting, that she's the victim here, and that I'm trying to ruin her reputation. Yeah, right. She's the one who stole our money, cheated on me, forged my signature, and tried to dump everything in her name. She's also been trying to spin her story about the bankruptcy. She claims she's just overwhelmed, that she's under so much stress, and that she's doing all this because she loves me and wants to start fresh. I laugh sometimes when I hear her say that. Love. She's the one who lied, stole, and betrayed everything we had. Starting fresh. She's trying to run away from her own mistakes, plain and simple. I've learned that lying is her second nature. She's good at it, too. She's been planting seeds of doubt in the lawyer's head, claiming I'm abusive or that I've been controlling. That's her usual tactic: turn the tables, throw blame, and hope no one notices the truth. Meanwhile, I've been collecting even more evidence. I hired a private investigator to follow her around, just to make sure she's not hiding anything else. Turns out she's been meeting up with Mike, our neighbor, more than I initially thought. Sometimes late at night, sometimes during the day when she says she's at the gym. She's trying to keep her lies consistent, but I see right through her. The pie even caught her going into some shady-looking motel with him last week. I have photos, videos, everything. It's enough to bury her in court, but she's still fighting tooth and nail. The money situation is worse than I thought. The offshore accounts she set up are almost impossible to trace completely, but I got enough from the bank records to know she's been funneling money into accounts in the Caribbean and Switzerland. I don't know how she managed to do it so smoothly, but she's been covering her tracks with fake IDs, shell companies, and complex wire transfers. I've been told that recovering the stolen money might take years, if it's possible at all. Honestly, I do care about the money anymore. I just want her held accountable for what she's done. What's even more infuriating is her attempt to sell the house behind my back. She forged my signature, signed legal documents, and then listed it for sale. I found the listing online and the buyers were ready to close. I had to act fast, got a court order to freeze the sale, and I'm now fighting to reclaim ownership of the house. It's not just about the property, it's about her betrayal, her lying, her stealing. That house meant everything to me. It's where I grew up, where I envisioned building a future with her. Now it's in limbo, and I feel like I lost a part of my soul along with it. Throughout all of this, I've been battling a lot of emotions: anger, sadness, frustration, helplessness. I've cried more times than I can count, especially when I think about how she used to be. I loved her once, believed she was my everything. But now I see her for what she really is: a manipulative, selfish woman who's willing to destroy her own life just to cover her tracks. I keep asking myself how I didn't see it sooner, how I let her lie and cheat for so long without noticing. But I guess I was blinded by love, by the hope that she'd change, that she'd come back to me. Right now, I'm just trying to hold it together. The legal battle is dragging on, and I know it's going to get worse before it gets better, but I refuse to back down. I've already lost so much: my trust, my home, my sense of security. But I still have my dignity, and that's what I'm fighting for now. To make her pay for what she's done, to get some justice, and maybe someday to start rebuilding from the ruins. It's hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I know I can't give up. Not after everything she's put me through. The months since I first uncovered her lies have been a whirlwind of court dates, depositions, and sleepless nights. Every time I think I've seen the worst, something new pops up. Another scam, another lie, another way she's trying to claw her way out of this mess. She's still insisting she's innocent, still claiming she's the victim of my paranoia. The courts see right through her, but that doesn't mean she's going down without a fight. She's hired a slick lawyer who's doing everything to delay, deny, and distract. It's frustrating because I know she's guilty, and I just want her held accountable. She's been trying to manipulate everyone around her: friends, family, even the court. She's been spreading stories that I'm abusive, controlling, that I've been cheating on her, which is hilarious because I've been too busy trying to fix her mess to have time for anyone else. She's painted herself as the victim, the betrayed wife, the one who's been wronged. Meanwhile, I have stacks of evidence proving her theft, her forging, her affair, and her plans to escape with the money. It's like fighting a ghost. She's slippery, always one step ahead, trying to spin her lies into some kind of sympathy story. The financial damage is staggering. I've had to hire forensic accountants just to trace the stolen money, and even then, I know some of it might be gone forever. She's managed to hide assets, create fake companies, and funnel cash into accounts she controls. I've learned that she's been working with Mike not just on her side, but to help her launder the money. They're both in this together, trying to cover their tracks. I've also discovered she'd been planning to leave the country with some of the funds. She bought tickets, booked a flight, all with the stolen money. I got a court order stopping her from leaving, but I know she's not going down without a fight. Meanwhile, I've been trying to pick up the pieces. I've moved into a small apartment, away from the chaos. It's not ideal, but it's better than being in that house with her. I've been seeing a therapist, trying to sort through the emotional wreckage. I won't lie, I still feel angry, so much anger that sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, fists clenched, thinking about what she did. And there's sadness, too. Sadness for the woman I loved, who now seems so far removed from the person I thought I knew. I keep asking myself, how did it come to this? How did we get here? One of the hardest parts is dealing with the betrayal from someone you trusted with your life. I kept replaying all the memories, the quiet mornings, the vacations, the promises we made. Now all I see are lies, manipulation, and greed. It's like discovering a stranger had been living with me all along. I've had to remind myself that I'm not responsible for her actions, but that doesn't make it hurt any less. Despite everything, I'm trying to stay focused. I'm preparing for the final court hearings, gathering every piece of evidence I have. I want her to face the consequences of her actions: criminal charges for forgery, fraud, theft, and maybe even conspiracy. I want her to pay back every cent she stole, plus damages. I want her to be held accountable for destroying our marriage, our home, and my peace of mind. I know this isn't going to be quick or easy, but I'm committed. Honestly, I've learned a lot through this nightmare. I've learned that trusting blindly can be dangerous, that people can hide their true selves behind a mask for a long time. I've learned that sometimes love isn't enough to save a relationship, especially when greed and deception are involved. And I've learned that I have strength I never knew I possessed. I may be broken, but I'm still standing. I still have hope, even if it's faint at times, because I believe in justice, in doing what's right. And someday I'll rebuild my life, without her, without the lies, and without the betrayal. I just hope others can learn from my story and catch the signs before it's too late. Now, as I sit here reflecting on everything that's happened, I realize how much I've changed. I used to think love meant trusting blindly, believing in the best of someone. But that illusion shattered the day I found out Sarah had been lying, cheating, stealing. Everything I thought I knew about her was a lie. It's a bitter lesson, but one I needed to learn. Trust isn't given blindly, it's earned, and I see now that I should have looked closer, paid more attention. Maybe I missed the signs, or maybe I just didn't want to see them. Either way, I was, and it's cost me everything I cared about. The legal battle is finally coming to a close. The courts have been relentless, and I've fought every step of the way to get justice. Sarah's attempts to hide her assets, her lies, her manipulations, they've all failed. The judge saw through her, and I was awarded full custody of the house, the remaining savings, and a hefty order for her to repay the stolen money. It's a small victory, but it feels like a huge weight has been lifted. I finally feel like I'm reclaiming my life. It's strange. After all this chaos, I find myself thinking about forgiveness. Not for her, no. That's impossible, but for myself. I realize I've been holding onto anger and bitterness for too long, letting it eat away at me. I've decided to forgive her, not because she deserves it, but because I deserve peace. Forgiveness isn't about excusing what she did. It's about freeing myself from the pain and rage that have haunted me. I want to move forward, to heal, to rebuild. I've started seeing new people trying to find happiness again. It's slow going, trust doesn't come easy anymore. But I'm learning to open my heart again, cautiously. I know I'll never forget what happened, but I also know I won't let it define me. I refuse to be a victim forever. I've learned that I'm stronger than I thought, more resilient. The betrayal shattered my world, but it also made me realize my own worth. To anyone reading this, I want to say, trust your instincts. Don't ignore the signs, even if they're uncomfortable. And if you find yourself in a situation like mine, betrayed, lied to, robbed, fight. Fight for justice, fight for your sanity, fight for your future. It's hard and it hurts, but you'll come out the other side stronger if you don't give up. Life goes on, even after the worst betrayals. I may have lost a lot, but I gained clarity, strength, and a renewed sense of self. I've learned that even in the darkest moments, there's a flicker of hope. Hope that someday, I'll look back and see this as the chapter that made me stronger, wiser, and more prepared for whatever comes next. I'm still healing, still rebuilding, but I'm finally moving forward. And that's all I can ask for.